know that, people judge folks based off of different things that they find themselves drawn to. You realize that that is addiction. And to judge someone because of an addiction rather than help them is wrong. Addiction has many, many faces. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Embracing the Fight. I am Erica Lamar, your digital creator and host. And I am so glad that you all took a moment to join me on this Wednesday, November the 12th, 2025. I hope that you all know that I created Embracing the Fight to help normalize the conversation surrounding physical and mental health issues and concerns, mainly because people don't feel like they have an outlet to talk freely or to speak freely about the issues that they have going on in their lives. And what happens is people will implode. And once they implode, they could potentially explode on others. You see it in the news all the time where there are people that don't know folks and they'll just drive into a crowd, of people unprovoked. I'm not, talking about like the thing that just happened in Ybor City in Tampa about 4 days ago, where this young man was being chased by the police and he ran into, a building in Ybor City and he killed four people and injured, several others. I'm not talking about that because, he did something wrong. Police were chasing him and they should have stopped, and just from my point of view, because they knew who he was and all that. When you get into a residential area or area where there is a large crowd of people, the chase should stop. And I only feel that way because, lives lost. But I don't know the protocol. I don't know, what they were supposed to do. But in my heart, I feel a certain way. But outside of all of that, imagine if people had a safe place to go to talk and to share their true feelings. Imagine how that could change the world. And that's what I'm trying to do here with Embracing the Fight. All right. So please, pretty please, I would ask if you would take a moment to subscribe, click like, click share, and comment below. After listening to several videos, because there's plenty of them out there. And if you haven't subscribed, just know it's always time. And if you haven't commented, you can go back and comment. No problem. YouTube is here to stay. All right. So let's jump into today's episode. Addiction has many faces. So let's talk about one that I deal with for sure. Because it's easy for, people to point out other folks' shortcomings and flaws. So I am addicted to sugar. I love sugar. And I didn't realize, that it was an addiction really because it's the food. It's something that I would consume, daily anyway. But when I look at the volume of the sugar, that I eat, it could be considered an addiction. Or, for instance, chewing gum. My friends find this to be one of the most interesting things that they never noticed, about me. But I've noticed that since I haven't been working where I was working, that I don't do this, as much anymore. But I could buy, say, one of those large 4 packs of chewing gum, say from Sam's Club, and by the end of the day, all of it will be gone because there'll be piece after piece after piece after piece. And it didn't necessarily have to be out of flavor. For some reason, I would just chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it, and then next, 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 until it was all gone. Didn't realize that I was addicted to chewing gum when I was stressed. A lot of people do, other things, when they're stressed, when they have things on their mind they feel like they can't necessarily talk about. Like, for instance, I had good friends. I had, great support system, but the things I was dealing with at work, it was like nobody really wants to hear about that because that's work. It's not something that I absolutely have to stay, with. I could change jobs. I could do a whole lot of different things, but I was using the chewing gum to take, the pressure off of my body by just, forcefully chewing, chewing, chewing until there was no more gum to chew. So a lot of addictions that people suffer with are subtle and they don't even realize that they're addictions until you start seeing the impacts that they have potentially on your body. Like, for instance, even though, I love eat sweet things, I know now that I have to, kind of temper that back because if I don't, the older I get, there's a high possibility for me to have issues with the amount of insulin that my body, will need or use, and I could potentially develop diabetes. And that's not something that I want to do. But usually, an addiction causes you to develop some either mental or physical health issue. So the one thing that, the one bandwagon that people like to jump on are drugs and alcohol because all drugs and alcohol, they're just so wrong. You shouldn't, abuse them. You shouldn't use them, all this sort of thing, right? But let's split them in half. Let's look at alcohol. Sure, you can drink a certain amount of alcohol within reason, sociably, at dinner, things of that nature. But once you drink it and you decide to get in a car and drive, then it becomes a problem. Or when you drink it and you don't remember anything that you did or said after you finish drinking it, that's a problem. Those two things indicate that there is an addiction, there's a problem because nothing in you should make you want to drink, drive, and potentially hurt or harm someone else, and not just yourself. Because alcohol is, from what I understand, meant just for, being social or for making the flavors in certain pairings come out. So when, like, say for instance, I don't drink alcohol at all, so I have no idea what people are talking about when they say, "Oh, you should have a white wine with this type of meat or a red wine with this kind of meat, and you should put this vegetable there because the acidic flavor and the tart flavor, all these different things." I have no idea what they're talking about, but in that, people are drinking the alcohol for those flavors, for those aromas, for the taste of it, not to necessarily get drunk. When you start drinking to get drunk, there is some underlying thing that's causing you to be addicted to that alcohol. For instance, if you're drinking to get drunk because someone broke your heart, that makes it an addiction. Because anytime somebody hurts you, you're going to go to the bottle. You're addicted to the feeling that you get after you've been harmed or hurt that alcohol gives you. Now, I'm not saying you got to give up alcohol totally, but you have to find something else. And I'm not saying, get addicted to something else. I'm saying you have to find something else that won't harm you or others physically when you're dealing with hurt or pain. Even if it's something from the past that you just haven't been able to let go of, there has to be something else that you can try, to help, alleviate that. We're going to talk about all of that at the end. All right. So then you think about drugs. You have some people that are addicted to like painkillers. So when you're in the hospital, because I've had surgery, a few times, and they give you pain medication. And I try to take the pain medication as little as possible because in the back of my mind, I'm like, ooh, if this gives me the feeling that I truly want, I might be one of those people that would become addicted to painkillers. But then I realized, no, no, I wouldn't. Only because my mind won't allow me to just keep taking painkillers. It's like that doesn't make sense to me. But to someone else who lives with chronic pain, or lives with chronic issues, they'll take those painkillers to make the pain, the entire form of pain, go away. That's why you'll see people who are on painkillers look like they're totally, zoned out. If they're addicted to them, they've taken more than they should actually take. You'll see that they are just kind of existing. And that's not a good thing. That person is addicted to something that is going to take away the pain, both physically and mentally. Then you got other drugs, street drugs that people are addicted to. And they're addicted to those drugs because they had them at some, place and time in their life, and it took them to some form of euphoria that they want to reach, probably every day if they can, or at least once or twice a week, or, whenever they're going through something horrible that they can't necessarily stand or handle themselves. For instance, I hear people smoking, say, I don't don't know, they smoke weed because it lightens their mood. It makes them feel better. It makes them relax. And it's like, well, what is the root of the thing that is causing you the stress that makes you want to smoke weed? Sure, people say they do it for recreation. Some people do it for pain. Some people do it, for a full escape. And then you got the argument of, oh, it's natural. It's not going to do anything to you, all these different things. That's all well and good. But who wants to be outside of themselves just to escape from something that's going to come right back once that, high is over? So that is an addiction. And then you think about those other like mixtures of drugs, things that can be, deadly. You think about that cough syrup mixture with, I don't know what it is, but it's some other narcotic. You mix it together and it supposedly does something to you that makes you feel like you're outside of your body looking at your body. But that is an addiction because why would you want to leave, your world and look back at your world instead of being present in your world? Addictions come from external factors that cause you to have mental or physical anguish. And the addiction just places a band-aid over whatever it is that you're dealing with. Some people are addicted to cheating. They can have an amazing and wonderful, family at home, but the thrill of not being caught is an addiction because people might see you one way and it's like, oh, I'm this good guy or oh, I'm this good girl. And everybody looks at me like this. And once they get that feeling that people are looking at in that way, they're like, oh, they go to a state of euphoria because it's like, oh, I have fooled everybody because I can cheat and I can do this and I can do that. And my wife or my husband, they'll never know. My kids don't know, but I'm able to live this life, this secret life. That is an addiction. Also, you got people out there that will take their last dime to go and gamble. They will gamble away their savings, their whole paycheck. They will even gamble away if they have a joint account with the spouse. They'll gamble away that stuff, all their money. Even if you have a trust fund, whatever, if it's not completely protected, they'll gamble it away. Or you'll look and you'll see things missing out the house, and you're like, "Where's this stuff going?" And you realize that they took it to the thrift store to pawn it so they can have more money to gamble. Gambling is an addiction. You get an amazing high, when you win a whole lot of money. But then when you start seeing that money come down, you hit an extreme low because you got to figure out when you're going to get your next fix or your next, you know, sum of money so you can go and gamble again so you can feel that euphoria again once you hit that number or you pull that lever, at the casino or I guess now you just press a button because everything's like AI. There's nothing, really physical anymore. But you do all of that just to feel a high for a moment. Then you have people, that are addicted to lying. You got those friends that when somebody tells a story, they gotta one up them and tell them an even better story. And they just want to look like the big person on campus or the smartest person in the room or the best person in the room. And they have lied all their lives and they feel like, oh, nobody knows I'm lying. They get a sense of euphoria from feeling like nobody can read or see their dirty laundry. Lying is an addiction. Now that I've given you several examples of addiction, let's talk about treatment. So, if you've never had mental health counseling, this is the time to have it. If you've had one of those moments where it was drugs, alcohol, cheating, gambling, lying, eating sugar, or just overeating, period, if you sit down and look at the root cause of what's making you do these things, you can be helped. you can be healed. But the thing is, you'll have to want to do this. This can't be something that somebody else is pushing you to. Because you think about when people go into these rehab centers, for drugs and alcohol, they come out and they didn't go in, on their own volition. And when they come out, they're like, man, I'm free. I can do whatever I want to do. I only did this because mama made me go, or my wife made me go, or my kids looking at me sad made me go, or my job made me go because I wasn't performing and they knew something was wrong and they said I was a good person, so they gave me a second chance. No. The only way you're going to get healing or better is if you do this on your own. Sure, it's great to have a support system. It's great to have people believe in you. But when you don't support and believe in yourself, you're going to go right back to whatever that thing was that was causing you the problem. And you're going to go back to whatever addiction it was. And that's not what the desire is here. So the many faces of addiction must be faced at the root. So I would suggest first that you start journaling. Write down the things that cause you to want to go, to your addiction. Just kind of write down, what you're doing for the day. And then once you get that feeling or that itch or that urge to go to whatever it is that's calling your name, then you could start seeing a pattern. You could start understanding what triggers you to want to go to this addiction. And once you're able to identify the triggers, then it's easier for you to go and seek counseling because you're able to articulate what is causing you to go that way. And usually, counseling can be intrusive, and you're going to feel like, oh, they're making you feel like the bad person and they're judging you. No, that's not the case. They're trying to bring out whatever it is in you so it can be healed. So after you go, to mental health counseling, you have to do some work. You have to basically die to your flesh daily. You have to pray. You have to talk to God and ask Him to take it out of you. But this is only after you had faith and you've done the work, because faith without works is dead. You have to go in and say, you know what? I have an issue. There is something that I need to work on, something that I need to do. And once you start identifying those things, then you can snuff them out one by one. And as you do, you'll notice that your life changes. You'll get stronger. You'll start seeing, a difference in who you are and who you hang around. And you'll notice that things will start to change and you're not going to want the things that have been calling your name, those things that you think have been healing you, but they've only been masking and pacifying the symptoms, literally making it worse. So after you seek counseling and after you've, had the moment with God, the next thing you need to do is look at your environment and your surroundings. You're going to have to either exit or change those surroundings. You can be the catalyst that changes the group of friends that revel in all the things that you're doing with the addiction. Or you sadly have to exit it. You have to save yourself. Now, I'm not saying you got to just throw these people away. And I'm not saying you got to go and preach to them either. You just have to let them know that, hey, I'm standing my ground. I've decided to get help. I've decided to get healed. I've decided, to be the best version of myself by leaving these addictions behind. And by me coming over here and being around you, I'm not able to do that, but I do love you. And I do hope the same for you one day. And if you're willing to hear more of how I did it, let's spend some time together. But I don't want to walk away from you because I do love you. You have no idea what love can do for a person, how it could change a person, because they may have just needed someone to say that they care, for them to leave addiction behind too. So don't stay silent. Speak on it. Become an advocate for it. It's one thing, to get euphoria from, taking drugs or eating sweets or something like that. But it's another thing to come back into a community and speak to people and help them to get past their addiction as well. That's a different kind of high. It's a very positive thing. It's a wonderful thing. So when you're actually going through whatever it is that you're going through, just remember that once you get past it, you can't be judgmental because you were there yourself. So once you decided to do those three things, you'll be well on your way in facing, standing up against, and getting rid of the many faces of addiction that have come into your life. So I hope this episode was very helpful for you. And if you're someone who doesn't, deal with addiction, I'm sure that there's someone around you that is dealing with some form of addiction. And all I'm asking is that you be supportive, you be kind, and share this episode with them so they can start going toward the things that can help them to be healed and the best version of themselves. All right. Thank you all for taking a moment out of your busy, busy day to watch this episode of Embracing the Fight, the many faces of addiction. You all have an absolutely amazing day.